It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's TSP2 webinar on pavement preservation. This is the final webinar in the 2020 webinar series and is co-sponsored by TSP2, ACPA, and IGGA. Now we'll just be ready to start on the concrete pavement preservation program. And I want to introduce today's agenda. We're going to start off with a presentation, a joint presentation on just-in-time training. And the presenters will be John Becker and Chris Forry.
Thank you, Judy, and all from the TSP2 group, ACPA National, and the IGGA for extending us an invite to talk a little bit about just-in-time training for concrete pavement preservation. We are going to touch upon how and why we do use just-in-time training here in Pennsylvania, the successes and opportunities for doing it for rehabilitation type work. I'm John Becker. I'm with the American Concrete Pavement Association Pennsylvania chapter, and co-presenting with me this afternoon is Chris Forry from the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission.
Good afternoon. Just-in-time training. What is its purpose and why invest valuable time and money into such training? The cost of new construction is staggering today. Project owners and tolling agencies or DOTs are seeking ways to improve and ensure they are receiving quality projects that will last for many years before they need maintaining. The Pennsylvania Turnpike identified the need to better communicate to all players throughout the construction and paving processes. Specifications, contract drawings, special provisions, and project expectations needed to be better communicated. That's where just-in-time training came in. Many times, specifications between the Turnpike here in Pennsylvania and PennDOT do not jive or are not the same. So in the essence that we had a construction crew just working on a PennDOT project coming to a Turnpike project, figuring they know what's to happen, how it's to happen, that may not be the case because the specifications and special provisions between the two vary. Next, when the Pennsylvania Turnpike bid a new section of our Southern Beltway project that's located just south of Pittsburgh, we included a special provision for long life concrete. The Turnpike Commission felt that just-in-time training sessions provided an excellent opportunity to define the LLCP concept with all the contractor and inspection personnel involved. Topics such as concrete mixtures, utilizing optimized aggregate gradations, the use of non-corrosive dowel bars, and lower water cement ratio factors, along with AASHTO T318 microwave testing to verify water cement ratios, were all new components to the long life concrete process.
First question that comes into play is whether the department, the Turnpike, wants to use just-in-time training. It's actually included in the contract when it is selected, and we have special provisions for both new construction and for pavement preservation. Special provision is included in the contract, and the contractor, if contracting calls for just-in-time training, they bid that type work, and contractors get reimbursed 75% when the first session is done and 25% when the last session is done. Special provisions stipulate that this training must be done within 1 month of when paving commences. The low bidder on the project is responsible for securing the services of a qualified independent instructor. This is not sole source type contracting, but the special provision does call for the lead instructor to be a licensed professional engineer in Pennsylvania and not an employee of either the contractor nor owner or any of their consultants that are working specifically on that project. For us to be successful in conducting a just-in-time training session, first thing that we do once an agreement is reached is that we visit the contractor at their location. Most cases it's here in Pennsylvania, but we have gone out of state, sit down and talk with the contractor, find out what kind of operations they have, what their equipment is. Are they going to be paving with DBI, with dowel bar inserter, or stake dowels. So we want to get as familiar as possible with the contractor, with their QC plans and how they plan on operating. We also feel it's very important for us to physically go out to the project, to visit the project site, the concrete plant, because one of the things that we heard loud and clear from the owners is they do not want a cookie cutter type presentation. Now, obviously, the standards and specifications from project to project often are very similar, but there are some unique aspects for each of the different projects. The staging is different, MPT could be different, and so we do not have cookie cutter type presentations, but it is mostly very project specific. One of the other contract stipulations is that the presentation, once we gather all that information, once we've met with the contractor, once we've met with the owner, we have to have the presentation in their hands 30 days in advance of when training takes place. And one of the other rules is that the training has to be conducted within 5 miles of the project. Contractor is out of state. The project's got to be, or the training's got to be within proximity of the project. And the location of the training could be a hotel, fire hall, a house of worship, golf course, or a contractor's training room. And I spell all those out not as hypotheticals, because we've actually done training at each of those different locations. The training for construction, for new construction, is 6 to 8 hours. And because we've got a 6 to 8 hour training class, one of the things we didn't want to do, and because a lot of the training that we do is in very remote areas, we didn't want to lose the audience, have them go off for lunch, come back an hour and a half later. So we provide meals, we bring those on in. And the real good thing that it does when we go that route, it allows for sidebarring to continue. There's people that are a little bit shy, timid about asking a question in front of 30 people. That usually offers the opportunity for those folks to ask some questions that they would not be comfortable asking in front of a large group. And this is really a working type session, because these are project by project specific training. We've got the walls plastered with centerline plans, and we go through those, and the contractor explains how the project is going to get built. Chris?
Just-in-time training sessions are conducted prior to the start of any new construction or repair activities that are performed on the job site. The initial just-in-time training sessions range from an average of 4 to 6 hours in length and are held approximately 1 month prior to the start of work. A second 1 to 2 hour training session for follow-up issues is held generally a week or so prior to the start of the construction. A just-in-time training session is then held as a conclusion once construction has begun, usually following a week to 2 weeks after construction has initialized. And at that time, a review is done to determine what issues were encountered and if there are any ways we can improve the training for future sessions. A wide variety of topics are covered in the training sessions, such as are noted on the slide. Concrete paving basics, long life concrete paving concepts, best practices, quality control, project documentation and software protocol, and safety, which is always paramount concern for all of our construction projects. Pictured is the very first just-in-time training session that was held in Pennsylvania for the Pennsylvania Turnpike's Southern Beltway projects. The training was held at a clubhouse of a local golf course. The large meeting room was a neutral meeting place for all parties involved. The casual atmosphere promoted discussion from all attendees. Lunch was provided, allowing time for networking and collaboration to take place. As you can see, the round tables and the instruction and the light from the windows definitely added to the atmosphere and eased the tension, maybe you could say, in the room.
One thing I want to add on this is, even though we were out at a golf course, we did not lose any participants. It was very tempting looking at a very nice 18-hole golf course. The other thing I just want to mention, if you look, you see the round table. Tried as much as possible not to have people looking at each other's backs. This helped facilitate the dialogue and the conversation. And my only one requirement when people come in and when they get ready to sit down is I just ask that people don't sit down next to people that are in the same company, because again, we're trying to promote the conversation and the dialogue. That's how we're going to learn from each other. The documents that we used to develop the training for the new projects are the 3 documents on the right, the tech-centered IMCP manual, and the 2 documents developed by ACPA on pre-paving and paving operations. Those are specifically cited in the special provisions. For the special provision for CPR work, and the special provision was first developed by PennDOT for CPR work, that special provision stipulates that tech-centered concrete pavement preservation guide and the blue book be used as reference documents. I have a tendency, for those that do know me, I do have a tendency sometimes to stray and go off on a tangent when we do the just-in-time training. One big rule is that regardless of what is said by the trainers, the contract documents rule. I mentioned the documents previously on the previous page. We provide those for all the attendees. We also have in the handouts, there are some key special provisions. For example, the Turnpike has a ride specification that differs from that from the department, and we talk about that. So we put those type documents in the manual. But again, the contract document rules, sometimes we've got new specifications that we know are coming down the road that aren't part of the contract, but they're getting implemented and incorporated into a special provision or into the new specifications for a reason. A lot of times those are based on best practices, and we try to identify that this is not part of the contract, but it doesn't keep us from sharing with the audience best practices, either those that are used elsewhere in the state or from other locations across the country. The folks that we get that participate on the just-in-time training, we typically have about 35 to 40 attendees. The entire work crew, the superintendent, the foreman, the finishers, we've got the paver mechanic, the concrete plant technician. Those are usually all paving contractor. The paving contractor usually subs the work to a subcontractor. So we do have the sawing and sealing representatives also participate. And you may ask, well, what's the purpose of having the material suppliers, the cement supplier, the concrete producers, the aggregate suppliers, etc. They usually don't have the opportunity to be out on a project, but we feel it was, and we all feel it was very important to have these people participate. They get to learn and know what it takes to put together a concrete pavement project. They also get an understanding of how time critical some of the delivery is of the material. A lot of concrete paving is stop and start. There's a spurt for 3 or 4 days of paving and then 2 weeks of no paving. So it's real important for them to have a good feel and a good appreciation for what goes into building a project. The surveyors, people that are testing the equipment, testing materials, any other subcontractors and key people. And the buy-in that we're getting from the industry side, we've had several company owners participate for the entire session and also contribute and add their comments and observations. And I think it's really important by them showing that they're there, they're participating. It sends a strong message to their workforce that this is important and this is something that we need to take seriously. Chris?
In order for the just-in-time training to be successful, participation by agency and Department of Transportation representatives is critical. Attendees from these organizations generally include project engineers and their assistants, materials managers, plant and field inspectors, key construction office staff, assistant construction engineers, head inspectors, district materials engineers, and construction and inspection personnel.
You can see on this slide the wide variety of different organizations that have participated from the owners. We've got paving contractors obviously participating. Some of our prime contractors do not do the paving, but because they are the ones that have the contract with the owner, they're participating in these sessions as well. You just go down the list, and these are all some of the different companies that I just cited. One of the big things is noted here is that we got really a wide range of experience. We've got people that have probably forgotten more about concrete paving than I will ever know, to the other end where we've got people that this is their first or second time that they've been on a concrete pavement project and they don't have a comfort level. So this is an opportunity to really start through and going through the basics, concrete pavement 101, so that they learn a little bit about concrete pavement. There's a lot of folks that are the blue collar workers that are working real hard, and I think they make or break the work that gets done out in the field. They get the opportunity to understand not only what's in the specifications, but why we've got the specifications written the way they are. One of the other things that's real important is that on the training, we got the people that are going to be doing the work, actually participating in the training. An example I've got is we had a bonded concrete overlay project where we had the company owners, We've had some of the workforce that was out there. We got the training, but the only person that didn't participate in the training was the head sawing subcontractor. And by luck, we happened to be out there on the project the very first day that they were doing paving, and we got into an interesting conversation. You know, when you do a bonded concrete overlay over concrete, you got to saw cut your joints full depth. He was sharing with us that he had 40 years of experience. You cut your joints D over 3. Well, if we didn't have that conversation out there, we would have had a failed overlay project and gotten a black eye in the eyes of the owners. We mentioned this. All the experience that we've had with just-in-time training has been predominantly with new construction. As Chris has mentioned, 6 long life concrete pavement projects on the turnpike. We've had just-in-time training for those. Department has embraced the concept of just-in-time training, and we've used those on 3 projects. We've got a district that is putting down the first composite pavement in the Commonwealth with concrete pavement, 9 inches, covered with 5 inches of asphalt material. They felt it was important to have training not only for the concrete pavement component, but for the asphalt pavement component. And we had 2 separate sessions there because you've got a different workforce doing the concrete paving, another workforce doing the asphalt paving. We did have some overlap so that there was some consistency, and so that the same people that heard what was presented in the concrete pavement session also heard the same on the asphalt side. A real unique project. It doesn't have to be just for new construction. In downtown or very close to downtown Philadelphia, they embedded rails for their trolley system. And that was really a very interesting project, very untypical from all the other type work that all the other type just-in-time training sessions have had. Very unique. Finally, before the just-in-time training special provisions were approved by the department, there was a project that was advertised, and the local district felt that they really wanted just-in-time training. They didn't have the opportunity to put it into the contract. So they were a believer in just-in-time training. They work ordered it on in. And taking it one notch further, when the contractor, the prime contractor who was going to do the paving, when they decided to sub that work out to another subcontractor, the district decided that we needed to do the just-in-time training for that new paving subcontractor as well. As I mentioned, we haven't used just-in-time training yet for pavement preservation work. PennDOT has put together a special provision specific for the CPR side.
So
Chris?
how can just-in-time training benefit concrete preservation contracts? It provides the opportunity to review partial depth repair procedures, joint sealing and resealing techniques, new practices for full depth corner repairs, and partial width full depth repairs. YouTube and other internet sites can provide valuable training videos, but their information isn't job specific. Videos don't convey the owner's expectations. Videos are not able to provide collaboration between owner, contractor, management, and inspection staff. Videos do not identify problems, nor can they resolve them. And videos can't build a sense of trust and partnership that is key to a successful project outcome for all involved. Just-in-time training provides the opportunity to review specifications, focusing upon how they impact the outcome of the final project/product. The face-to-face dialogue allows personnel with varying degrees of experience to interact and better understand their individual role in the overall project. The importance of paying attention to the details and good communication is stressed. Topics such as the proper placement of load transfer assemblies, material acceptance testing protocols, the use of keyways, tie bar placement, AASHTO T318 sampling and acceptance for water cement ratio, sawing and preparation of joints for sealing can help reduce construction and placement issues on the job site.
Well, obviously, we're working in different times, and I'm not sure what the times are going to be like moving forward, because of the fact that we do our presentations and our just-in-time training now virtually. We do have cut back from doing a 6 to 8 hour session to a 4-hour session. That's probably the limit that most folks have to be able to sit and go through a presentation. We've not lost anything with respect to the attendance for these sessions once they've gone remote. But the one thing that we really miss, that I miss, is the face-to-face contact. You go out and you do a presentation, you've got 30 or 40 people when something is presented, and sometimes we actually try to stir things up a little bit to get the dialogue going. Now we can't read the body language, and a lot of times the people that don't seem like they're agreeing with what's being said, they've got some valuable points to make, and it gives us the opportunity to call on them and to get them engaged. Now there are always going to be I call them the prisoners, the people that are there because the boss says you've got to be there, and we really can't do much about that. But there are still people that may not want to be there, but they're there. We take it to the next step. And one of the things that we do when we complete the training is we ask folks, we want to get feedback from the folks that have participated. Now, 106 out of 365, that's a 29% participation rate, not as good as what we saw in the recent presidential election. We did ask the audience what they thought about whether they thought just-in-time training will improve the likelihood of a quality project. And that's what we're all about here, is we're wanting to get a good product. And 96% of the attendees said, yes, it will improve the quality. 4% were on the fence. We didn't have any dissenting opinions. This ties on in improving the likelihood of a quality project. I think it ties on in because the communication, the collaboration is very key, and we saw the same response. Now, the third item that I've got here is one that I get a little bit of satisfaction on when we get to do and finish a just-in-time training class. We got 89% of the people that feel that once they left, they know more about concrete. They think they're going to be doing a better job. 89% agree. 11% were also on the fence. And then finally, we asked the question, should just-in-time training be considered for other projects? And yeah, we had one dissenting vote. And interestingly, that the individual that said that we shouldn't consider just-in-time training for other projects is in the green category in terms of he felt that just-in-time training is going to help him do a better job. It's going to improve communications, and it will improve the likelihood of a quality project. So we weren't able to find out why he didn't think we should be continuing that. But nevertheless, that's the feedback that we had gotten. Chris?
Presently, it's hard to quantify the long-term benefits of the just-in-time training. The Pennsylvania Turnpike is convinced just-in-time training will deliver a better quality project as we have used it on all of our Southern Beltway contracts. PennDOT has developed a just-in-time training component for concrete preservation work, building upon the benefits of proactive training. To date, all of our Southern Beltway projects will be in service by the fall of 2021, and presently only 3 of the 11 projects with the just-in-time training are in service. And as stated a moment ago, when time we will know the fruits of our efforts with just-in-time training. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our presentation. I just wanted to comment and first of all, thank the Turnpike. They were very instrumental in getting this just-in-time training implemented and incorporated. The Department of Transportation, PennDOT Department of Transportation, quickly embraced the concept, and want to thank the department as well. They see the value in having just-in-time training for CPR work. We have had projects where we have had premature failure on, for example, on patching work, where the workforce and the inspector both didn't understand the reason for and why we absolutely need to make sure our dowel bars are completely encapsulated in either epoxy or in grout. The lack of knowledge by folks that participated and that worked on some of these projects resulted in us not having a good performing CPR repair project. So I think there's a lot of folks that are out there that believe that we are going to get a better quality product. And I think the other part is the whole communication and collaboration aspect. This isn't partnering, but it certainly has got a strong partnering flavor to it. In the interest of time, I'll stop talking right now, but you've got my phone number and email address, and the same for Chris. We'll be happy to answer any question. And with that, thank you very much for your attention this afternoon.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.